Hello, and welcome to Positive Voices, the College of DuPage's Student Diversity Roundtable Discussion Program. My name is David Swope, Manager of Student Diversity and Inclusion at College of DuPage. You know, lately there's been a lot of things going on in the news over the past 18 months, both positive and negative, that impact the African American community. From issues of a civic nature, a social nature, from understanding cultural differences, to racism, prejudice, and how the police have handled issues over the last year. There's been a lot of things that impact this country. We know that there is a place here at the College of DuPage where these issues can be discussed. And here to explore these issues and discuss their relevancy on campus life and the student experience, I'm joined by three representatives of the African American Student Alliance. And I'm excited to welcome them to this program. First, we have elementary education major, Ms. Carlisha Toney-Pickett. Then we have Ms. Gloria Rourke, who's a biology major and a student trustee. And finally, we have a business major, Mr. Matthew Powell. Glad to have you guys and glad you can join us. We know that you guys have been involved with the African American Student Alliance for about a year now. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the African American Student Alliance and what you've done to date and how things have gone so far in your opinion?
So the African American Student Alliance is a student-led club here. Our vision for the club is to build avenues of connectivity between students, faculty, and staff, and then to build academic, civic, and professional excellence. And then our mission is to, through meetings, events, and advocacy, we're trying to encourage socialization, offer growth and support, and then foster academic excellence to the African American student body.
I'd have to say they're going really well. I mean, you know, we've been able to have meetings and we've been able to generate a lot of interest, you know, for basically a one that's just been around for one semester, really, to be honest. And, you know, we had a special event for the Final Four, you know, which was really able to, you know, kind of just gather some interest, get the club's name out there. And yeah, we're looking to just continue to build something that will last.
Great.
And continue on that this year.
And I know you guys have been involved in like panel discussions and that you brought some cultural and some social issues to the forefront and that you guys were actually part of those panel discussions. So maybe tell us a little bit about that and if you look to build off that going into this coming year.
Well, we definitely intend to continue the panel discussions. I believe they definitely fostered some conversation on this campus that wasn't had before. The first one we had was a part of the CSDI department during Black History Month. And then we sort of took that into continuing throughout the semester to talk about other different issues within the African American community. And it definitely brought out a crowd to see people were interested in it. They hadn't heard it before. They didn't really know what it would be about. So it definitely drew some interest, and we definitely plan to continue it this semester to bring up some new topics of discussion as well as other things.
And I think as we talked in the opening of this particular program, we talked about the relevancy of the African American Student Alliance in regards to issues that are going on in American history right now. Listen, I have never experienced what I'm experiencing in the last year since April of last year. I mean, let's just be real with that. There's some things that are going on, and there's some issues that we can see on the media. There's issues that we can see on the camera. There's issues that we see videos of. And I'm not understanding what's happening in terms of the policing in America. I don't understand some of it. I honestly don't. Yeah. And I think these issues can sometimes be issues that portray the African American community in a certain light. Like, what's your thoughts about the events that have happened over the last year? And what do you think the African American Student Alliance can do to give a positive voice to that, to help grow the people and the students here at the College of DuPage, and not just African American students, but the students, and maybe even transcend to a better awareness to the faculty and staff here about issues like that?
So like at our panel discussions, we would talk about things like this. And all of us have different opinions, so I think sharing those different opinions is very, very important, because, you know, you could, like, Carlisha could say something, Matt could say something, I could say something, and we could all reach someone different. It just depends on our perception of the event that's going on. So I think if you have all these different opinions that are coming together and sharing them with the community, I think people will have an even greater understanding of what's going on, and then that will pique their interest, and then they'll keep coming to our events and things like that, and they'll, you know, do their research and figure out what is really going on.
Yeah, yeah. But lately, these have been some tough issues. They're not easy to just open up and have a conversation about. So how would you guys propose that the conversations like these be initiated so that people could feel a sense of, you know, welcoming, belonging, and a place where they feel free to grow and learn, especially when we're dealing with some challenging and difficult issues that seem to impact a particular ethnic group here in our country? How would you guys propose to generate that conversation?
Well, I guess the first thing would be, like, I don't necessarily agree with what you said, how it's not easy. I definitely believe it's easy. All you have to do is open your mouth. Everybody, despite what they may say, everybody has an opinion about what's going on. We may not all agree about it, like Gloria said, but the best way to foster that conversation is to have it. We can't be concerned with, you know, oh, we're gonna offend somebody or make somebody feel uncomfortable because, you know, we're talking about this. I know the biggest issue is that, especially with people here at COD on this campus, COD doesn't want to have that conversation because it can make some feel uncomfortable. But change comes from being uncomfortable. So the only way for there to be any type of change is for people to feel that discomfort. Because when you're uncomfortable, if you're too hot, guess what? You get up and you turn the air down. You're too cold, you get up, you turn the heat up. So some people are gonna have to be uncomfortable in order for some things to change.
You know, I definitely do agree with her, but I do think that, you know, a lot of it is in how you express yourself.
Okay.
You know, just in terms of, you know, like, I think a lot of people, you know, enjoy a good debate, you know, like a good, you know what I'm saying? Like, just a good time where they're, you know, kind of just providing their points, and, you know, and I think the main issue that happens a lot in many instances, not just a college discussion, is how people express themselves. And, you know, I mean, when you present your opinions, you know, as long as you're open, you know, to other people's opinions and, you know, accepting and respectable about it, you know, I don't see any problems.
And I just have to go back to what Carlisha said about the uncomfortable feeling. I think you have to have tension to create change. Because if there's not a problem, there's no need for change. But if people disagree, then you have to come to some sort of, I guess, understanding with each other. And that's going to create tension.
And then some people would say, well, there goes the radical African American Student Alliance, stirring up these discussions that we don't want to have, getting us all hot and bothered, introducing all this tension that we don't need. What do you say to comments like that? How do you make that an environment or make that something where people can learn and grow and understand that the exchange is healthy? How do you respond to somebody? How do you respond to racist comments? Because I'm sure as African American Student Alliance, you're probably subject to get some of the racist comments that have been thrown around in this country for hundreds of years.
I mean, the fact is we are at an educational institution, so majority of us have that sense of education where you can handle a comment. Well, I know I can handle certain comments where I may not, you know, I may be thinking one thing, but I know how to respond to you in a sense to get you to understand, you know, what you said about your comment. Because there are comments made about being, you know, just race baiting or throwing a race card around and certain stuff like that. And there's an educational way to handle that.
Okay.
So, but there are also going to be times when we have certain conversations where some people, they may not know how to express themselves. So they're going to get up there, they're going to be angry because guess what? A lot of people are angry about the things that have been going on.
I do agree to a point that it's easy to open up your mouth, but to Matthew's point, you have to be careful with what comes out. Because if it's not constructed the right way, you can open your mouth and people will not be listening to what you are saying. They will be focused on how you are delivering it. And that sometimes can be the issue, especially when you have a group that's probably as interesting and as intricate in terms of their background and their heritage and lineage as people of African American descent. I know that we have a lot of diversity within the African American culture. African American culture comes from a lot of different places. And Gloria and I have had this conversation before in terms of the biracial component. Gloria, maybe speak a little bit about that and how that impacts you.
I have gotten a lot of negative comments from the African American community themselves because I am biracial and because of the color of my skin. A lot of people, I've had people ask me if I think that I'm better than others because I'm mixed and I have, like not as curly hair. They think that I think that I'm better than others, and that's definitely not the case at all. And I think that's just like a basic misunderstanding of their perception of who I am. And I think it's important for me. I'm still learning about the African American community, but it's so interesting to me that like I think I have to know where I came from on both sides. Like I know where my mom came from. I know about, like the just U.S. history. I know about all those things, but I think there is another component, which is the African American history. And I think people need to know about that, especially me, since I am African American myself.
So, I mean, do you guys feel as African American students here at the College of DuPage that the college is welcoming on a holistic platform? Is there ways that can be improved on? And I'm getting smiles, I'm getting different gestures. And so what's your thought about that? Because you're a big part now of that platform of welcoming African American students. You said so yourself. So what do you think is the current state of the College of DuPage in terms of its welcoming and providing a sense of belonging for the African American student community?
I think we're getting there. I think it's definitely room for improvement. I guess more of an outreach, like I said before, to provide that comfort, to provide that sense of belonging here.
Okay.
Because yes, now we do have the African American Student Alliance, so we can provide some of that outreach, so that way we can bring them in to let them know that we are here. But it also has to be provided in the classroom and outside of the African American Student Alliance. So that has to be provided by teachers, because I know how I feel in that sense of in some classrooms, especially when there's only one or two African Americans, you get that sense of now you speak for every single African American in the world.
Yeah, I don't.
And so it's always that, well, how do you guys feel? Well, I can tell you how I feel, but I can't tell you how the person sitting, African American sitting next to me feels, one across the room, one across the state, one across the country.
Right.
So there has to be, teachers and professors definitely need to get that understanding and training that we're all not the same. We all don't look the same. We're different people.
We don't?
No, we don't. I was shocked. I was a little shocked. But I definitely believe that there has to be that, it has to be provided.
What do you think, Matthew?
Obviously, I haven't been around as long as Carlicia has, to have been able to see the progress or where it was at one point. But for myself personally, in terms of the teachers that I've had, the classroom discussions that I've had, and the way I've felt just as welcomed as anybody else has in the classroom. Like I said, I'm sure it's not that way for everybody. Like she said, everybody's different and everybody's gone through different experiences. But at least from my personal perspective, I think they're doing a good job, and it could be a lot worse, and I'm sure it is a lot worse other places.
What about you, Gloria?
I have felt welcomed, but I'll see the way students interact with me. I'll see how faculty interact with me and staff members and things like that. And then I will see those same people walk past the living room, and they will treat those people completely different. So then it raises questions like, what are they that I'm not? Like, why are you treating them differently than me?
Yeah.
And that could be tied back to the biracial thing, that could be tied back to a lot of things, but it just makes me question certain people on campus and certain students and things like that, especially when they name the living room something different.
What?
Then
See,
what-
now she said it
I'm
again.
so
now.
sorry.
So now she got it. See, she said it again. So I'm figuring out what is that. So
I don't even know.
You don't. I don't know it either. So she has like Matthew. She has an inside scoop on some information that we don't have, and I'm just
Yeah.
wondering what that is. You can't say that, can you?
I mean,
no.
I could, but it's just, it kind of hurts me that people would say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't really say it.
Do you want me?
I want
yeah.
to know.
Go
So,
ahead.
People have called it the jungle.
The jungle.
The jungle, and then I actually met some new students. So these are completely new students coming into the college, and they call it the black hole.
The black hole. And so now, this is where I believe you all help that conversation. To each and every one of the points that you guys have already made, the difficulty is this. How do we, or the African American Student Alliance, let me put it that way, how would you all foster, work towards a better sense of unity? And I'll just put it out here like this. The Latino Ethnic Alliance Association, they seem to be known for their sense of unity and their sense of community and their sense of belonging together, working together, and cohesiveness. Now, I know the African American Student Alliance is very young, but you would think that proportionally, by the number of African American students that attend here, that you all would be one of the top 3 largest student-led ethnic clubs at the College of DuPage. So why is the interest, you think, so slow in terms of getting the African American student population to kind of gather together to, do these positive things that you guys are doing and build on that as a community of students in a positive way, to impact the campus as a whole?
I think there is tension within our own community. I think, it's between men and women. It's between women themselves. It's between men themselves. It's between different skin tones. We're so disconnected from each other.
I definitely agree with what Gloria said. There's definitely that tension within our own community. I believe that, especially with all these, things that have been going on in the media lately, I have seen a growing sense of community come about, even just over the past summer. From the people I do know at COD, I see a more longing and wanting to bring that community together.
Great.
Even if it, which I do give us credit as a community. Certain injustices have always been that drawing point for us to come together. So it's sad to say that it took all of these things to happen, but now that there has been that, the wheels are starting to turn, and I'm so happy for it because there is more interest, there is more, wanting to be involved socially, actively. So we're getting there. Once it's there, once they know, okay, I have this environment where I can come together and talk, with fellow African Americans or anybody about this stuff, now we can build that together.
Okay, so it sounds like we're going to see a lot more of the African American Student Alliance as you guys begin to build that. And so I just kind of want to throw this question out there, just to a person, each one of you, maybe think and see if you can come up with at least one positive thing that the African American Student Alliance would do in this coming year that would make a difference, first of all, with the African American student population, and secondly, with the College of DuPage campus community as a whole.
I particularly really liked the panel discussions that we've been doing.
Okay.
I think sparking conversation is the first step of understanding what's going on. So, that can be between us as a group, or we could bring it out to the student body. We could do it in lots of different forms. I know last semester, some professors even brought their classes.
Yes.
So we could, reach out to professors and see, if they would give their students credit for coming to our panel discussions. So then they would be involved in the conversation as well.
Matthew?
For me, I think the biggest thing kind of has been the subject of this discussion is unity. Bringing everybody together, no matter their skin tone, where they came from, and just within our own, ethnic group. And I feel that in turn, that might change the college just in terms of, what you hear about, Campus Central in that area over there, getting all those negative nicknames and whatnot. I feel that with unity will come, you know, just maybe some understanding. I just feel that it would just be a lot of good things.
And I definitely think for me, the most anticipated thing is to definitely give that voice that I've seen so many people that I know and other people ask for, is that voice and move for social justice in certain areas.
Okay.
Because one thing I have not seen at COD is any acknowledgement of all the social injustices going on in our own backyard. So,
What do you mean by that, if you could?
well, as far as there has not been any, which I think is another thing, there hasn't been any acknowledgement on this campus of all the different killings and different things that have been going on in across America, or even
Like Ferguson,
Baltimore,
Baltimore, and that.
Mike Brown,
Okay.
Garner, Timber Rice, Sandra Bland, who was in our own backyard,
Okay.
right down the street from us. There has been no acknowledgement whatsoever about that on COD's campus.
So you mean kind of like they did the Kenyan thing?
However, there was the
Okay.
acknowledgement of the mass killing over in Kenya,
Okay.
which I'm all for and I support. However, in my opinion, speaking as me, Carlisha, the only reason that was acknowledged was because that was a Christian versus Muslim issue. It had nothing to do with the skin tone.
Okay.
Otherwise, I feel there would have been no acknowledgement of it.
Okay. All right.
So, but this semester, we plan to bring that acknowledgement here to COD's campus.
Good.
It may make people uncomfortable, but it needs to be done.
And I think in the process of people being uncomfortable, and what I've heard you saying, I'm kind of repeating all of the very interesting and introspective things and very positive things that I've heard said here is it's kind of like surgery. You know, before you can actually go in and operate, you have to cut. And it's the cutting that hurts, but you're going in so that you can make it better. And so that after the operation, there is a time of healing. And so you can have something that's better than what it was before. And I kind of hear that coming out of the collective voices. And listen, I'm excited about what I'm hearing in terms of what you guys are offering, where you're going with the African American Student Alliance. Is there anything that you have planned for the academic aspect of the Student Alliance and what you plan to do to help encourage or support, you know, better academics, or what we call persistence data, especially for our African American students here?
Well, I know with you, we've been talking about doing like the student tutoring.
Okay.
And tutoring each other, having little study sessions and different things like that, which I definitely believe will provide that access, because then you can go, because some of us may feel a little shy about going to somebody else for.
Why is that? You know, now you just pick one other thing. Now that I got the living room question out there and we got those names out there, so we could deal with it in a positive way. Why does it seem to be that African American students seem to shy away from tutoring probably more than any other group? And I'll say this because persistence data on national research levels show that the gap, the achievement gap when it comes to testing, when it comes to academic performance, shows that the African Americans on average score 26 points lower than Caucasian students, and that they probably do not take the same level of tutoring. As a matter of fact, are 30% less in terms of their tutoring involvement than Caucasian and other students. Why do you think that is?
Extremely simple, because we do not want to have to ask anybody else for help. It's that simple.
So that's a pride thing, or
We're stubborn.
Stubbornness.
stubborn?
I wouldn't say that. I would say that, but then I would also say that it's something of the sort of, it is prideful, but it's the sense of there aren't a lot of African American tutors in most areas that you go into.
Okay.
Especially, I've probably been in like the tutoring center or the writing center here like a number of times, but I didn't see a lot of African American students in there. We don't really want to have to ask anybody else for help. It's easier because we don't want that person to then turn around and look at us a certain way because we're asking you for help. So shamefully, we'd rather just fail the class or not do the assignment than to go outside of ourselves to get it.
Wow. And the tutoring programs here are fantastic. I mean, they are absolutely top-notch, 5-star across the board. They have a variety of different tutoring sessions that they offer where you could get customized tutoring that meets your needs, works with your schedule. There's tutoring pods, I think they call them, throughout many of the buildings on campus. And I think that needs to be brought to light. So hopefully the African American Student Alliance will kind of pick up a little bit of that because the persistence data for our African American students has to increase. We have to get better grades. Our GPAs have to grow and get better so that we can move on to the second stage of success. And to do that, we probably have to, shed some of this stubbornness and shed a little bit of the pride or whatever it is that kind of holds students back. And I don't think that's something that is covered in a blanket way, by no means, because we're represented by some really great students that's sitting on the panel. But what the national data is showing is that there is an average, and the average is showing that many of our African American students, especially when it comes to high school and post-secondary, are not doing what they can to get the better grades and the tutoring that they need to. So hopefully you guys will help that process. I'm excited about what you guys have done. I know when it comes to your involvement in the community, what do you think the African American Student Alliance is looking to do in terms of community involvement?
Yeah, I think my big thing personally is speaking to high school students. I really love encouraging students to come here specifically. I think this is a great college. Like, you can earn just as good of an education here as you can at a four-year university, and the price is tripled. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I think that going into other schools or having schools come here to take tours and have us speak about the college collectively, I think that would be very helpful in increasing enrollment, getting people excited about the college and involved,
Yes.
and just producing better numbers in terms of African American students.
I know, just based off what Gloria said, just an overall, not just a mission for African Americans is, kind of trying to, tell other people about the college. Because I know that a lot of people were shocked to see, the reputation is that it's not a school for smart people. I mean, that's just
Really?
the basic reputation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, a lot of people were shocked to hear that, a smart guy like myself was going to go to COD rather than a four-year university. And that's the first thing they asked me is, how is it? It's actually a really good school. Like you said, the tutoring programs, the facilities are really nice. And I think that's something that we could really do, is to get that name out there and really help people consider it as a really good option.
That's a great point. The message that comes from the students is probably what's as powerful as any other message that could come from marketing or that could come from, any other set system here at the college, because your voice is that real experience testimony. And so, Carlisha, I just want you to answer the question about the community involvement and what you think the African American Student Alliance will do or have plans to do.
I definitely think this semester we need to focus more on is giving back to the community, because so many of us come from different communities around here.
Yeah.
But we also, we're in the suburbs, we're in a more affluent neighborhood, but I think we also need to focus on, because we have Chicago right there in our backyard, to do more things to reaching out to the community and the youth and younger students and stuff like that, so that way they can see us in a higher education, because some people don't see that. Okay. So they don't aspire to that, but we can provide that for them to see.
Well, man, listen, you guys have been wonderful. And so I just want to applaud what you guys are doing. I want to wish you the best in terms of success in the coming year, that you will do even bigger and better things in terms of going forward. So just thank you guys for taking the time to talk here on this program. For those watching, if you're interested in getting involved or joining the conversation, you can learn more about the Center for Student Diversity and Inclusion by visiting us on the web or give us a call. And check out our Facebook page for the latest episodes in our program. So we hope you found our discussions today enlightening, uplifting, and empowering. Until next time, remember, be educated, celebrate diversity, and use a positive voice.